Journey to the Rise of Skywalker books released. Look at this image on your screen right now. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, can we please just stand up and applaud the artwork here? What does that mean? You've got Rey in this red up top, and then her reflection, it looks like in water, is Kylo Ren, and their blades are crossing. And to me, this to me feels that idea of that we might be getting some like weird dimension or time play somehow in this movie. I mean, it's a stretch, folks. I get it. It's a cover of a book, but that looks really pretty, and I think I'd want that photo on my wall.
This cover is to the book The Art of the Rise of Skywalker, and this is one of the 2 books that they just announced that I'm really, really looking forward to, because these are where we're going to get those really pretty action shots with a lot of the color reflecting off people and the blue hues and the red hues shining against people's faces as they're wielding their lightsabers. I'm really, really excited. Disney, since they took over the franchise, has really done a top-notch job. If there's one thing that they've done better than any other franchise I've ever seen, is the art of books that they've been putting out.
And if we can go ahead, we have a slideshow here of all of the books announced. This was exclusive to StarWars.com. Marie and I have been going back and forth. We want to do something about this. Maybe we might do like our top 5. Maybe the 4 of us. Jordan, if you have a favorite, by all means, all 6 of us, we can do I didn't do my math right there. We can do a top 5 or 6 best books out of that list for the website. But we have that cycle playing through. There's like 20-something books, I think I counted. So
there's a Seek and Find book that reminds me of Waldo, but it also looks like a coloring book. So that could be cool.
Oh, I bet you could just really pass the time with that.
I could.
We need to find you a date. David, like you found one. You mentioned one of the books that you wanted. Jesse, talk to me about you. What are like 2 or 3 books out of this group, and why? What are you excited about?
Obviously, the initial ones he mentioned, like the Rise of Skywalker books, will be interesting to read. 2 of these caught my attention. I'm kind of a sucker for like the encyclopedia books and everything, so they have another one coming. It's called the Ultimate Star Wars. That's like the title on it, but it's an encyclopedia, so I'm assuming there'll be like some character information. I think the last one I picked up was like a visual guide, and everything was really neat. It had like information about lightsabers and like the pictures of like all the various like props and weapons and everything. The other one though, as far as actual like story, I guess, was the one titled Force Collector, which the basic plot summary that they gave with this was a young man who's force sensitive, kind of on a journey to see what that can do for him. Like he's like seeking out the Jedi and everything. So it'd be kind of interesting to see the kind of like this. I don't want to say like random nobody, but like a new character who's familiar with these legends in this, obviously.
Absolutely,
and they're seeking that out.
I do want to clarify something we said earlier in the show. We have had the Princess Leia and the Han Solo Age of Rebellion books out.
Those are already out.
We're still waiting for Luke and the Vader.
Okay.
Tarkin also came out, and Tarkin was a great read as well. He took his shirt off.
It seems like I'm behind.
It's okay. We just caught you up in like 30 seconds.
Is Tarkin wearing his moccasins in any of these panels?
No, I believe he was in his boots, but he is a very chiseled and scarred man, both inside and out. David, you had one more read that you wanted to shout out, right?
I did. There's one called Journey to Star Wars, The Rise of Skywalker, the movie-making magic of ships and battles.
Okay.
And this one is taking me back to one of the things that originally got me excited about Star Wars going back 20 years. And I think we talked about this with Pete Fletcher in one of our interviews, or maybe it was off screen. But there was a movie that they produced, like an educational movie. It was at the Science Center down in St. Louis as a kid, called Special Effects. And I think Anthony Daniels and C-3PO and R2-D2 actually like hosted this.
Oh, that's cool.
And they went through and they talked about, and they showed how they did a lot of the Star Wars stuff and the Independence Day and E.T. and all these really cool movies, how they did the practical effects, before we went all digital for stuff.
Well, and that reminds me of like that fun ride. I guess that was, what was that called? MGM Park or whatever that was, where you could go and they would demonstrate how they did a lot of the special effects for like Indiana Jones. I remember how fun that was. Like how like it was just you had to put your foot in the exact place to avoid all the pikes coming out of the floor, and how they did the ball and stuff. I don't know. That just stuff is really cool.
especially now because we spent like the last 15 years really advancing computer technology, but now the big thing is coming back to practical effects that I'm kind of excited to see how they're doing some of this.
I can roll with that.
Yeah. I mean, that was the great thing that they really stressed a lot, especially with the Mandalorian. But yeah, you mentioned practical effects and everything, and I think the reason we're seeing that is with 3D printing kind of taking off and everything. I think they can do more, more detailed work initially as far as like the prop aspect, but just different techniques that there's better ways to do it now. And I think that's why you're seeing like a resurgence of that.
I think. Go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
I just think the practical effects make it look more real. I mean,
Well,
you're not
yeah.
acting on a green screen looking at like a little felt ball or something.
There was this great tweet that came out, I want to say on Thursday or Friday, and I'm sure it's been shared before, but it's an image of Ewan McGregor riding that beast in Revenge of the Sith when he's on Utapau.
Yeah.
And he's just on a green ball with a smaller blue ball, and then a big green wall around him, and then like one guy with the microphone like this. So it's like even more kudos to that guy, because Ewan McGregor did a lot with
Nothing.
a bunch of nothing. It was a lot of like it's a lot of pretend, and I feel like that's got to be harder when you don't have that human element. So definitely want to know what books you are wanting to read in this. And like we mentioned, it wasn't just books. It was books. It was like encyclopedia type books.
There was a
Comics,
golden
books.
book, kids golden book in
Now,
there.
what's your take on that? Because like that's how I learned about like Goldilocks and the Three Little Piggies.
Well, occasionally we get a couple Star Wars golden books in my department at work, and
Okay.
then I sometimes when I need a moment, I just kind of thumb through it.
Oh my gosh!
There were three bears, David, not piggies.
But
The pi-
no,
the
you know,
pigs with the
I
big
think
bad
that's-
wolf.
Oh yeah, I got that confused.
Thank you for watching Beyond the Blast Doors. Be sure to subscribe to our channel. Don't forget, give us a thumbs up and leave a comment. Beyond the Blast Doors, a Star Wars conversation.